little bit of AEW, not a lot. Just enough to remind me why I don't watch it. Oh, this is already funny. Just the headline. The list of moves and actions that are now banned from AEW or need to be approved by the company.
Maybe that's why Nash is pissed off, because he went for Rock and Austin and not try to duplicate him.
Well, it'd be easier to duplicate him. You only have to learn 5 moves.
Like you said, and we've all been saying, Tony Khan, you need a hierarchy, and he gets one, and then we make fun of it.
Because he's sitting back there talking about the Brock match, and finally we had a wrestling match. Finally we got 2 guys telling a story. They weren't outside in the ring the whole time. One of them
was he not watching the same match as we were?
Yeah, those games, man, I would say, like, for me, like, the best ones, I would say, are, like, the ones where they try to get a certain, like, time.
This is my entire IT team right here on screen. Everybody. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Wrestle Chat with Vince McMahon. Hello, everybody, and what happened? Let's get ready to rumble! Yeah, let's get ready to stumble, fumble, bumble all the way into the end zone. There you go. Damn. We knew it was coming. Annually, there are certain traditions in wrestling, whether that be SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania itself, the Monday night after WrestleMania, the firings after WrestleMania. We just know that these are the things that are going to happen. And surprisingly, we really weren't talking about it that much this year, where I feel like it should have been the topic of conversation weeks leading into Mania. So that all said, and the list is growing. I didn't hear about this until very late yesterday. I decided to take a day off from the world, turned off the phone, just watch some movies, hang out with the dog. That was it. Didn't want to deal with nothing. So I didn't really know much about anything until very late in the evening. And knowing one thing I know about the firings is that list keeps on growing, kind of like Santa Claus. So you have to give it a little more time to percolate. And while we have a pretty percolated list right now, I'm sure that's maybe even grown since I decided to start this stream up. I don't know. Prime time's in the house this early morning. Wanted to get a jump on it because we got a busy day here on the nation. We've got our 9 a.m. Saturday Morning Superstar show coming up as always. And then the 6:05 show is not going to happen at 6:05. It'll be a live show instead at noon from the Omni. It's going to be a banger, I promise you. So we'll be here for 12 noon for that. And yeah, that brings us to where we're at now. As well as we're going to cover another topic when it comes to Wrestle Chat and the direction I see this going in the very near future. But let's start with the headline act, shall we? My. I'm going to end up repeating some of these names because, Big JH and Blaze and everybody was sending me lists throughout the course of this event going on. And some of the names may duplicate, so I apologize if they do. I'll try and filter those out as I go. But I was going to go down by saying Nikki Cross. And, well, when you say Nikki Cross, the entire Wyatt Six, they're all gone. Surprise, yes and no. Bo Dallas gone, not a surprise. Okay, he only really came back for his brother's story, and they did a horrible job of delivering on that. Not his fault. WWE, TKO, TKO wants to hold the bag. They want to say we're in charge of all creative. Then TKO fucked up. And they clearly do not care about their legacy members. TKO does not give two shits about what you did during your days in the WWE. They proved that. They proved that with what they did with Sid at the Hall of Fame. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. That never would have happened under Vince McMahon. Of course, he might never have gone in under Vince McMahon, well, to be honest. But that all said, Vince would never have done that. So Nikki Cross is gone. Zoe Stark, surprised there only in the sense that she's still coming back from injury and there's like an unwritten rule. But again, TKO don't play by those rules. Those are y'all's rules, okay? They're independent contractors. They are fired. Something's got to be done about this independent contractor status. Since it's all TKO out for the money, let the wrestlers now go out there and do the same. You know, Jesse Ventura was right back in the day trying to unionize. And how that would affect wrestling with all these injuries and stuff, and you see what the hell happened to Sol Ruca, we're going to get into that later. Anyway, so Zoe Stark is gone while she's rehabbing and supposedly was doing really well with the rehab process. She was like, I was expecting to see her back any day. So sadly, no, they're not going to be here. I see her showing up. I guess I always want to hope for the best and that she goes to a company that at some point in time I might want to watch again, which is like Impact, TNA. MLW, I wouldn't mind, except MLW is just not doing much. You know, they did the show here in Kissimmee, Florida back in January. And took forever to get anything else out. I think they're starting to do a couple shows now, but I mean, they're just not consistent. Alba Fire, that one I get. I never really understood how she lasted this long, to be honest with you. The look, nothing. Everybody's got red hair now, darling. Everybody's got purple and green and fuchsia and every stupid color of hair you can imagine. Joe Gacy, that one surprises me. It disappoints me. It disappoints me. Joe Gacy is a guy who's talented and who should be. Granted, you put him in the Wyatt Six thing, and you know that could have been great. Y'all just decided you didn't know how to write for it. And this comes down to the writing team. It really does. They have failed so much since the Bloodline. What have they done? What have they done? Nothing, and lots of it. If people's names should be on this list, it should be the fucking writing team for the WWE and whoever wants to put their name on creative now. So if it's TKO, who's making these decisions? Because you need to be fired. Whose idea was Pat McAfee? Fire that person. Do not let them get anywhere near the controls again. But Joe Gacy is a talent. I mean, this guy, I liked him back in NXT. I didn't like the faction he was with because he was stuck with Ava, of course. And I thought that whole family tree, learning tree, whatever the fuck that thing was, I thought it was stupid as hell. But he, as a talent, you know, back then, that was when Wade Barrett returned to the WWE, left the NWA, the lucrative contract in NWA under Billy Corgan, and came back to the WWE. And I was like, man, if he's not going to wrestle, he needs to craft the next Nexus. And Legacy was the guy I would have put at the top of that list. And it never happened, obviously, because it was my idea, not theirs. Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, not a shock at all. And honestly, I don't think he even has a problem with it. He came back for one reason only, and that was to bring Bray's stories to fruition. And I don't think he got to really do that much, personally. From the beginning, when they first introduced, had that big entrance as they were going off the air, and then had the first, it was like weeks later, that they had the first full Wyatt Six entrance and did nothing really with it. And then just muddled around forever. It's that dream where you're running, but you're not getting anywhere. And that's what it was. And it was bad. It was so bad. And then, of course, it completed. I can't get the word out of my head. It wrapped up on Friday at SmackDown Before Mania, where they, of course, lost. No surprise there to Solo and company. And I knew at that moment, I said, yeah, we won't be seeing them again, I don't think. They just didn't have nothing left for them. Andre Chase, boy, oh boy, have I been calling for this one for a long time. I have been saying, why is this guy still there? this whole Chase U, and I just never, ever got it. I mean, I got it. I just didn't like it. And he is just, I mean, he's like Richie Cunningham. There's nothing about that dude that is going to sell a ticket. My opinion. He's not selling me a ticket. I can tell you that right now. I'm not leaving the couch to go see him. Dexter Lumis, he's a lost soul, Dexter Lumis is. They just don't know what to do with him. And this was a good opportunity, by the way. I mean, if they could have... I don't know how you fail so miserably with the Wyatt Six and it comes to writing and booking for them. I mean, with the look and with the production going into it, it shouldn't be as hard as they made it. And Dexter fit that mold well where he could have done something, but they didn't give him anything to work with. So what do you expect? Eric Rowan, same story. You know, he is the big monster, and that was his, you know, the fact that he was an original member of the Wyatt family, all played in, but they didn't do shit with him. All right, we're going to start dipping into some of the stuff that shocked me. Kairi Sane. Ay. I could not, for the life of me, figure out where they were going with that. They just had this big emotional story that's setting up an Asuka-Io feud. And now, the object they have been fighting between or over is gone. Io's over here fighting to get Kairi out of that abusive relationship. And Asuka's over here dominating her and pushing her around, shoving her around, and now she's fired. It's like, well, you're going to fuck that one up too? And not for anything, that girl was talented. She could deliver. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. These people are so bad at what they do. And again, we're going to get to a point where we're going to talk about future WrestleChat and where this program's headed now because, spoiler alert, I'm done with WWE. I'm done with AEW. I'm just, there's not much left for me to watch. And it's not because of the firings. This is like the nail in the coffin. We'll talk about all that. Let's go through the list. Aleister Black. Well, glad you brought him back and didn't do shit. This guy is a talent, man. He is such a talent. The fact that AEW did a better job with him than you should be ashamed. Everyone responsible should be ashamed. Pat McAfee, really? No, if you had to interject anyone into that match, which you didn't have to, but if you were going to interject someone into that feud, into the Mania match on night one, Aleister Black would have been the guy. And you could have had a good story written around that. I could write a story around that without too much difficulty. But no, we don't do it that way around here in the E. Zelina Vega, I've been calling for that for years, man. I don't get her. I just don't get her. She's a big mouth and likes to cry a lot. She's, 5'3" on a good day? And we're supposed to believe she's champion material? The belt wouldn't even fit around her. It would fall down to her ankles all the time. No, I'm just not a fan of hers. Never have been. And don't let the door hit you. Santos Escobar. I'm a little bummed about that. I was never a big fan in the WWE, but I did like him in AAA. I know he's been battling a lot of injuries in succession. He's going to end up turning up in AEW/CMLL. Guarantee that. He ain't done. But I will miss not having him at AAA. I thought he was doing a good job for AAA. Motor City Machine Guns. When I read that this morning, I was like, what? And then I sat back and thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, yeah, how old are those guys? You know, they're still able to go. Don't get me wrong. I love them. They're one of my favorite tag teams. Probably make my top 15 all-time list. But, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for them. They got to go to the WWE. They got to win the World Tag Team Championship at that level. They earned that. Through a decorated career, they earned it. They got it. Happy for that. They'll go back to the TNA, I'm sure. And that's great. That's their home. Nothing wrong with that. Dexter Loomis. Well, we've been here before. We already talked about that. Apollo Crews. They weren't doing anything with Apollo, quite honestly. He did show up in AAA a couple of times, but even there, he was just there. You know, he did his match. That was it. They're not giving him any angles. They're not doing anything to push and promote him. Is what it is. Where he I mean, him I could see in Major League Wrestling, MLW kind of shit. And by the way, with all these recent releases, this may tie into another thing we're going to cover in just a moment here, so stick around for that. Joe Gacy we talked about, Andre Chase we talked about, Zoe Stark, Alba Fire, Tyra May Steele. Did not hear that name until just now, and I know of her. I didn't watch a lot of her. I'm trying to remember now. Is that... Wait a minute. Was she the Olympian from LFG? Is that who I'm thinking of? Because if it is, whoops. On her, not on them so much, because I didn't see... On LFG, I loved that show, and I did not see her being the one to get the contract. I just didn't see it, didn't feel it. Serena Linton, not familiar with her. I'm seeing Tyson with no other name. Don't know who that is. Tyreek, I know the name, don't know who it is. Chris Island from LFG, didn't. They were so high. The coaches were all so high on him. Well, then again, let's think about it. Who was high on him? Michelle McCool. Yeah, that explains it. Malik Blade, not ringing a bell. Trill London, not ringing a bell. Luca Crucifino, no idea who they are, so I'm going to guess they might have been maybe Evolve or NXT, and I just didn't get around to seeing them at all. Is Tyra May who I think it is? Let me check on the chat here, see what you guys got going on as well. Prime time. I don't think the fans are going to be that upset, because I think universally the majority of us felt like the Wyatt Six did nothing. It went nowhere. They were supposed to have been doing an angle across with Alexa Bliss, who was the last person to interact with Bray. And it never happened. And honestly, the biggest miss right there. Now, not for her. She's done fine for herself, and her and Charlotte have been a lot of fun. But for what the Wyatt storyline could have been, but again, you don't have writers there anymore. You don't not only have writers, you don't have historians. When you look back at WrestleMania 40 and the whole Bloodline match and how that played out, they wrapped up years of storytelling in one match. They just kept on bringing stories to fruition in one match. So people that knew the history were writing. These people writing now are like soap opera writers. They just showed up. They left college a few weeks ago, maybe. Got some stupid degree in writing, working for $30,000 a year. And this is what you get. This is exactly what you get. It's absolute dog shit. Undigestible dog shit. That's what I would refer to it as today. But that all said, I think a lot of people were ready for the Wyatts. We all knew after Friday. I think you'd be crazy not to know that they were gone. Friday was a definite going away party. Sean Nova's in the house. I know another Sean. I don't think that's the same one. Maybe it is. You change your name? Guessing that Bo Dallas will be back working for the sheriff department. Oh, that's right. I forgot he was deputy sheriff or something like that. I forgot all about that. Yeah, TKO is cancer. They are absolutely disgusting. And I thought Disney was bad. TKO said, hold my beer. Primetime NWA got a national contract. Oh, my God. Somebody had to be desperate. I'm going to guess Sinclair never watched the product because neither will anyone else be watching their product. It's unwatchable. It is so. I watched it again about a month ago, one episode. I do one episode a year. And it was about a month ago I watched, and God almighty, the best match on the night was Ricky Morton's kid. Pasty overcoat. How did it get that way? Some of these are a little behind the live, but that's fine. That's cool, man. That's what I got to do, too. I got to go back on the comments here. Loomis and Gacy are talented. Yeah, I agree. And I wouldn't be shocked if you see them come back very soon in totally different gimmicks. You know, like, here's a novel idea. Have Joe Gacy come back as, I don't know, Joe Gacy and as a wrestler. I mean, that guy is a good wrestler. And he has a good just look to him. He doesn't need the makeup and the masks and the stupid outfits. The problem with the product is they got, and the same thing with AEW. They don't wrestle. Everything I hated about AEW for the last 5 years, why I've completely turned them off, is now been embraced by the WWE. They're doing the same bad shit. It's just spot monkey for spot monkey, people getting injured, people who should have been injured. And who the hell, you know, and all these guys and girls are doing is trying to one-up somebody else so they can get TV time. At whose expense? Who's the one that's going to end up walking around, if you're walking around in a walker, assuming you're not in a wheelchair for the rest of your life? For what? A fake sport? Primetime says, my opinion, Roku better, Sinclair broadcast for NWA, be truthful, both going, bring NWA back, NWA needs someone to take over. No, Billy Corgan is the cancer, not the answer. He's got no idea what he's doing, none whatsoever. He's a wrestling fan, but he is not, he cannot run a company. Not a wrestling company that's going to turn any heads, and We'll see what the future holds, I guess. It'll be a while before I ever tune into them, I can tell you that. I've done my one for the year. Skill Driver, what's happening, man? Best viewers. Oh, that's one of you people on Twitter. Gotta go. On Twitch, rather. Yeah, we're live streaming on Twitch as well, and they always have these bots that jump in, so there you go. You're banned. Don't do bots. So there is the lineup as it is right this minute. I'm sure it's adding as we talk. Let me see what else I have here in my notes. Also, some teaser. Okay. We're going to segue into the next subject here, which is talking about where some of these folks may end up. So, again, I think TNA, looking at that list, there's a lot of names on that list. If I'm TNA, I want to grab. Joe Gacy being one of them. Obviously, the Motor City Machine Guns have to come home and finish their careers there. But that still leaves a lot of names looking for a place to go. And with that in mind, pardon me while I whip this out.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
There we go. The talk is the return of Lucha Underground. So this came out recently. That would definitely be looking for a new lineup because the majority of their talent came from AAA back in the day. That ain't going to happen. So I can see a whole bunch of these people getting bought up, and that's smart timing on their part. I mean, we all know that the firing's after Mania, but it's smart timing on their part to start pushing this little teaser now, knowing there are going to be a lot of free agents in the market. And that's not even counting the MLW folks that can sign other places because they don't get steady work with them. So they could have a decent roster to start with, and that's going to help them a lot if they do, in fact, do what they're claiming they're going to do here. So a Lucha Underground return would be a good thing, and especially for these folks looking for a paycheck. Worst scenario is for Black to go to TNA. I don't think it helps him to go back to AEW because he didn't leave on good terms. I mean, he was basically telling them, I want out of my contract so I can go back there. So if they did take him back, they're going to bury him. I wouldn't go. Easy for me to say. I mean, I'm assuming the guy is smart with his money, and he's had a number of years under the WWE banner, so I know he's been paid decent. And then he went to AEW for a little while, and Tony probably overpaid for him. So he should have enough money to live his life right now, if he's smart, hopefully. And in that case, there's no way I'd go to AEW. If I didn't need money, I would not be going back to AEW if I was him. Yeah, we didn't talk about New Japan. That's another option. CMLL we did talk about, and I do think, well, AAA is WWE, so if they're fired, they're fired. They're not going to likely show up in AAA. I could be wrong, but I seriously doubt it. Otherwise, they'd have just kept them on the roster and moved them over to AAA. It's not like it's a different payroll. I mean, it is a different payroll, but at the same time, it's all coming from the same bank account, so it doesn't change the bottom line for the corporate image. If they are playing with a salary cap, I don't know the WWE is, but they, being a publicly traded company, it wouldn't surprise me to find out, much like your favorite NHL, NBA, NFL teams, you have your salary cap that you have to work within. And, back when Vince was in charge, he could do whatever he wanted. I mean, obviously he had a number in mind that he wanted to keep his salaries under, but if the right talent was available, I can totally see him saying, yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and do this anyway. Yeah, Lucha Underground 2.0, I was going to say, if it happens, I don't think you run that little spoiler thing there and not have it happen. I'm pretty sure you know it's happening, and you're just trying to test the waters a little bit and get people's reactions and see what they're all saying. But yeah, Motor City Machine Guns was a little bit of a what the fuck moment for me. But it makes sense. I mean, the guys are, the thing is, and then we can now bring that into the fold of what happened on Friday night. So what happened on Friday night? You saw a lot of new names. We knew we would. But, and I'm happy to see that Fallon Henley finally got called up along with the entire squad. And that was a good thing, that they kept the team together. That was a good thing. And they come in and they beat the living crap out of the establishment. The Charlotte, Alexa Bliss, the current tag team champions, even though we know they're only there for a drink of water. And try to establish that, now we're here. It's our town. It's our blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've seen this a million times, right? You have to come up with something new, folks. But I get it. It's a start. I've been calling for Fallon for years. She has been wasting away in NXT. She is way past developmental. She's got the look. She's got the moves. She's good in the ring. And they've just been having her. And I'm still not a fan of her being second banana to JC. I don't see that at all. Hopefully that will evolve or devolve when the two of them go head-to-head at some point down the line. I think that's definitely going to happen. I see Fallon being turned babyface for that. I think they'd be stupid not to, but we've seen them do stupid before. They do stupid better than anybody I know. Truth be told. Now, that all said, where am I at here? We're going to take a bounce over to something else. All right. If you haven't seen, Xia Brookside recently turned on Lei Ying Lee in TNA Wrestling. And, you know, we've seen this a million times play out. It was a really good little promo, though. A lot of really solid performances. Lei Ying is not someone who speaks English very well. And she admits that here in the promo. We're just going to show bits and pieces of it because I can imagine I'll get blocked or some shit.
Xia Brookside, please come out.
So she's basically saying, you know, you were my best friend and you turned on me and yada, yada, yada. Brookside comes out, and what had happened was Lei Ying had shown a video of, apparently, of Xia's father, who I don't believe is around any longer, or at least in the storyline isn't around any longer, something to that effect. Anyway, she didn't have a good relationship with her father, is the story. And she had been shown this video like right before she went into a big match, which she then lost, and now she blames Lei Ying. Why would you show me this video of my father when, you know, that wasn't a positive thing for me? And she didn't realize that, so it was an honest mistake, and she's apologizing for it.
That championship, the moment you showed me that video of my father, and you know you did. You wanted to get in my head. I did this all by myself. Be alone.
So you can watch the full thing on YouTube. She does a really good job of the performance. I mean, she's tearing up. She's doing the whole thing. As far as acting goes, these two did a pretty solid job on the promo. My problem comes about, I don't know, here somewhere. We've seen this a million times, right? So.
Oh, come on! Actual meeting of the minds, a conversation did not sit. Oh my!
We'll watch it again.
Oh my God!
I just can't anymore. I simply can't anymore. What is it going to take? Somebody's going to be crippled. Now, I blame mostly, I think, Lei Ying on that one because she didn't put herself in the right position to take a DDT. And I know that Xia's got a slightly different variation of the DDT, but that is a career killer. So if that's the way they do it, then they need to do it different because that was brutal. And I swear that sound effect, I thought that was her neck breaking. Okay. And then there's this. And I know you've all seen this already. This is absolutely ridiculous. Who's in charge? I can't tell anymore. Is it Shawn Michaels? Is it Triple H? Is it this Michael asshole who's the president of TKO or whatever? Fuck all of you for letting that spot happen. For anybody. That is at least a 12-foot drop, and I'm saying closer to 15. That's probably close to 15 feet high. Nobody should be taking that fall. Even if she'd have caught the two tables. They are tables, they're gimmicked. They are, even if they weren't gimmicked, they're not crash pads. They don't absorb that much from a 15-foot fall. The fact that she's still walking, talking, and breathing is a miracle. That could have ended her career. I can't anymore. I just can't support this in any way. It's AEW doing it. Now, week after week after week, it's WWE doing it. Everyone thinks we got to come up with a bigger spot so people will watch me and I'll get on TV. And, you know, you got Darby over there jumping off of fucking ladders and going through plates of glass for the sake of it. And hell, they put the world title on him. So what message does that send out if you're in the AEW? Before him, it was Moxley bleeding on entrance. I am done. I am checked out. No more. No more. I can't keep watching this anymore. This is not wrestling. This is not what I'm here for. This is bullshit. This is taking one of your top talents. This is the future of your women's division, and you almost ended it for something fucking stupid. Stupid as fuck to be making her do that. Letting her do that. Everyone who had a hand in that happening should be fired, should be on that list. I am done with the current day product. All of it. Your exorbitant ticket prices that people can't afford to go to your shit shows. The fact that you take all that money and you just put your people out there like animals to slaughter, and if they die, don't worry, we'll put another one in there behind them. Done. Absolutely fucking done. I will not watch this shit anymore. I've had enough of it. Now everything is AEW. Everything's AEW now. Everything I hated about AEW is everywhere. The only thing I've got left, and I don't know for how long, is AAA wrestling. That's it. And I know it's under the TKO banner. I wish it wasn't, but it is. And hopefully we get a few more years before they decide to start putting their hands in there. Right now, they're kind of leaving that thing alone to do its own thing because they're busy focusing on the stuff that's going to Saudi Arabia. That's where their money is. Same thing with their video game. Done, 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 done. Let's talk about 2K for a moment since I've opened the door. I don't do any of the online shit, never have really. Last year, I started getting into the My World thing. I actually enjoyed it a little bit. You know, I played through probably, I don't know, 3/4 of it. Unlocked some stuff, had some challenges. Yeah, it was all right. Thought I might do it again this year. I could tell right off the bat that it wasn't the same experience anymore. They made the challenges so much harder in the early rounds. Not that they weren't doable, but I already knew if that's the Orlando beginning, you ain't getting to Chicago. And then I'm watching all of these YouTubers who do this shit year after year, and they have walked away from it. They've walked away saying it's not worth it. And not only, and then you get through some of these challenges, and there's the one guy whose name I'm drawing a blank on, heavier guy. But anyway, he turned around and says, I can't even, get through Chicago because I need this card to progress. And now we talk about the card market, and everyone's talking. The odds are down. The prices are up. No one's buying the skip passes. Surprise. So now they're losing that money. Plus they're losing 2K's or the last gen money. So now they're trying to make it up in the card market. And there are still some stupid motherfuckers. I don't care if you have that kind of money at hand. What kind of an idiot are you that you are buying cards in that card market with the ridiculous odds on top of everything that you're not going to even get what you want? So you're spending hundreds of dollars, and I don't think there's that many people doing it, but there's somebody doing it because they keep on. And here's the thing. If that is what you're going to do to these people in the card market, maybe the achievement shouldn't be unlocking the same shit that was there last year. You're having them unlock Retro AJ again. We've been there, done that. So you don't even want to invest in new product for higher priced cards with lower percentage of payback. You just want the money with no effort. I'm done with all of. And if another game company isn't going to step forward, then fuck it. I'll just make my do with what I got. I am not in any way, shape, or form playing this shit anymore. I am done with these motherfuckers. All of them. Yeah, I saw Ruka's spot. It was dangerous. It was stupid. And they should have just looked at this. I mean, is Shawn Michaels in charge or not? I need to know who I'm blaming. He should have looked at that and said, no, it's not worth it. It would be a good pay. Or you would have had another opportunity. You could have had a big black box right there. And maybe had some equipment on top of it or whatever to make it look legitimate, and had a crash pad inside, which obviously everybody's going to know there's a crash pad inside. I get it. Who cares? If the idea is you want to write her off by throwing her 15 feet to her death, then let it be a crash pad. But this is, and by the way, you can't look at that and tell that's too far away. She would have to launch herself further back. You should have had them much closer where she could have done the Nestea plunge, but it's still bad. There's no good thing about this. For your up-and-coming time, you took a year off her career with that. I guarantee you took a year off her career with that move. My. WWE wants Santana in their company. Santana. For what? For what? What is he? I don't get this guy. And again, this is nothing against them personally. When I say these things, it's about selling tickets, about making people want to watch the product. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm sure they're great human beings that you could have a great conversation with them, talk wrestling and whatever else you want to talk about. I am talking strictly about would I pay a nickel to see them? Santana. No. Why? What about him stands out? I've watched a couple of his matches. There's nothing about him that says main event. Nothing about him says I'm the world champion. Like Darby, right? World champion, 150 pounds. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And I don't want to hear people talk about Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is a whole different animal. He could do shit that nobody could do, and he didn't have to kill himself to do it. He had a great look, had the masks. He changed that look up every time. One time he's the Joker, one time he's this, he's that. So he always had a unique look. He had a great entrance when he used to explode up through the floor. There's a million reasons why Ray gets over. Darby only gets over with one crowd. AEW's 500,000. That's it. Those are who he gets over with. You put him in NXT, he does not win the NXT World title. He doesn't even make it to that match. It's going to be crickets. There's nothing about him that is special. But he's trying to kill himself on live TV. That doesn't make you special. That makes you Ric Flair. There's nothing about it. I'm just over all of the stupid that exists today in professional wrestling at the highest levels. We are talking about the companies that are supposed to have the money and the people and the knowledge, and just horrible booking, horrible writing. I got nothing to, again, I got AAA and that's it. So moving forward with WrestleChat, there'll be a lot more of AAA and almost nothing with modern day wrestling unless something drastic changes and there's something to cover. I don't see it. I would like to. I'm looking. It's not for a lack of effort on my part. I am looking, but all I'm doing is watching old wrestling. I'm just constantly digging into the vault. And I'm watching old MSG and old Philadelphia Spectrum and old NWA. I cannot watch this shit anymore. It's so bad. And I think it was only 2 years ago with the Bloodline storyline. And we were all just like feeling those Monday Night War vibes where you had to watch and you couldn't wait till next episode and what's going to happen when. And no, man, that's gone. It's all gone now. You heard what Nature Boy Ric Flair did. He did an interview. It wasn't a good one. He called out Stevie Richards and James. By the way, if you haven't seen James's response, it was beautiful. It was better than Stevie's. Stevie was kind of more comical. James Romero really, he tore into the old man. Flair allegedly got himself blackballed from WrestleMania because he allegedly threatened over the phone. He called Ludwig, threatening to kick his ass back when Tiffany and Ashley had their little live moment. And James brings out a great point of that. Why in the world would anyone be afraid of a 72-year-old guy who can barely breathe walking, 10 feet? As if he's a physical threat to anyone. Flair's last years of his life are definitely going to take away from his legacy, and that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and that's another reason why I feel like I need to digest a lot less of what's happening today, because it's staining the memories. So, I don't know. I have not had a chance to see the Hulk Hogan documentary yet because it hasn't shown up on any of the streaming sites that I partake in. I'm not going to pay Netflix, and I can't imagine there's going to be anything particularly new. I've seen a couple of different shoot interview programs with wrestlers that were there in the day that have watched it, and, of course, they are picking it apart, saying, yeah, that's Hogan's version of the story, but it's not the truth. And a lot of these are stories that we've already heard in the past and already know are not accurate. Hulk Hogan was many things to wrestling, but being honest on a microphone is not going to be one of those things. I did also read somewhere where Brooke Hogan recently stated that she regrets not claiming any portion of the Hulk Hogan estate, which I also thought was crazy at the time. It's like, it's your father. You're entitled to at least half, so fight for it. But she didn't, and we make choices in life. Also talking about the modern day product and what's wrong with it. Let's look at some of the names that were not at WrestleMania this year. Starting with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton didn't make a 2-day show? Are you kidding me? In what world? And I would have said, you know what? She pissed some people off with that whole Charlotte thing back in, months ago. But she was right in the middle of that big story months ago. That was WrestleMania last year, right? Okay, so a year ago. Time flies. And, she went off script, and that's a no-no and all that. And she got her talking to after that. And there's been rumor that there may be some women in the locker room that aren't fans of hers. Maybe her behavior's been a little too elite, like, she's gotten too much too soon. And I thought maybe this is, her being punished and being taught to be respectful. And then the very next show, they put the belt on her. So, I don't know. Did you pay your penance and now here we're showing you that we still believe in you? Or do they just not know how to write and not know how to book and left one of their top performers off of a 2-night show? I'm not sure which it is. If it is true that she was being a bit of a bitch, then yeah, in that case, you know what? Give her the spanking so she learns. Also not there, Asuka and Io Sky. Your 3 best performers in the women's division, period. And they might not be the top sellers or the biggest draw, But when it comes to putting on a WrestleMania quality match, those are your three women. Not Rhea Ripley. She doesn't put on great matches. She puts on good matches. But she can't carry a match. She needs a good partner. Io Sky can get a broomstick over. Asuka can get a broomstick over. Tiffany, I think, we haven't seen that much out of her yet. Maybe she can't quite yet, but she's still light years ahead performance-wise in the ring. And that's saying something because Rhea is good. Rhea's very good. They're better. And they're not on the show. They're a whole lot better than Jade Cargill will ever be. Oh, but Jade has a look about her. She has a look about her, and then the bell rings. And that's when I go get a beer. And take a piss, because I ain't going to watch this. For all the people complaining about how short the matches were at WrestleMania, look at the card. Tell me which of those matches, how many of them did you want to see go a minute longer than they got? How many of them do you think could have gone longer and not completely shit the bed? What do I think about the Usos and Jacob Fatu? Yeah. I think Jacob, again, writing and booking. Jacob was a monster in MLW. Comes to the WWE, and he's meh. Nothing. And now, granted, he keeps getting injured. That didn't help. Especially that first injury. But why did he get injured? How did he get injured? Stupid spots. Tables. Not breaking. When do you fucking learn? How many more of these folks got to get hurt, have their careers altered, if not ended, before you realize, hey, they're people, they got families to go home to. You're not going 15 feet off a platform through two tables that you may or may not hit. I'm just really... I feel like it's just a matter of time before we have another Owen Hart. And it won't be because of something stupid like a ridiculous entrance that never should have happened. Where if that cable doesn't hook properly, you're definitely going to fall to your death because it's just, 40-foot drop. You ain't going to survive that. Actually, I think it was more like an 80-foot drop. It was way up there. But even at 15 feet, by the way, anyone who's not familiar with OSHA, which is the national organization that regulates businesses and safety, anything over 4 foot in height, you're required to have a tether. So if you're working in a warehouse, for example, and you're on a platform that's 4 feet high, even if there's guardrails around it, doesn't matter. You're supposed to, by law, regulation, federal regulation, have a harness and a zip line tied to it where it'll allow you to walk up and down, back and forth. But in the event that maybe you just pass out and you would have fallen over, and only 4 foot height, 4 foot, it'll stop you from hitting the floor because they've determined that 4 feet is the minimum height at which you have the likeliness of severe permanent injury being sustained. So their belief is that through scientific studies, if you take a fall off a 4 foot platform and don't happen to land well, you're going to have catastrophic injury. That's OSHA. I have never quite understood how these independent contractors are allowed to do what they do. And you can say, well, stuntmen and well, guess what? Stuntmen do have a lot of times where things that they're tethered to, and then they just take it out in the post-production. But I understand a lot of stunts are done live, very much the way WWE does their stuff. I just, again, I think all of this shit is so stupid that it's happening. Retro's in the house. What's up, buddy? Good morning. Yeah, I got an early jump on today because we got a busy day coming up. It's just, between the cuts, and again, I'll catch you up on what we've already done. A lot of it is stuff that I get it. Some of it is I agree with it. Some of it is like, I don't even know who these people are. Then we also get to the other part where it's like, you're only getting rid of them because you didn't know how to do your job right. You couldn't get them over. Not that they couldn't get over. You gave them nothing to get over with. We were ready for the Wyatt Six to come on board and let's do this. And you stuttered and you ran like a car on cheap gasoline. Sputtered and puttered all over the damn street and went nowhere. And then you turned off the car for a few months and turned it back on again. And it sputtered some more. And then you turn it off again. You just couldn't get anything done right with them. I can see Jesus. Welcome aboard, buddy. Thank you so much. To all of the folks watching on Twitch, we are now back. I have neglected the Twitch channel for a while. I know that. I apologize. But now that I've got Meld, and it's such a nice, simple process to make everything work the way it should, and you don't have to do all the bells and whistles that OBS requires. I'm trying to do a lot more on the Twitch channel. Every Monday night, 5 o'clock, we're going to do our Monday Night Wars. That'll be on Twitch as well. And then on Tuesday, it's Twitch exclusive, Tuesday Night Titans, and it'll be a live house show from the 2K Universe mode. This past week, we were at we were at Madison Square Garden, and a very cool show happening over there, and we've got some new champion coming out of it. And then this Tuesday, we will be doing something with the NWA/WCW roster from the 80s. Kyrie, that was one that that was probably for me the biggest shock. It had to be the biggest shock because she's such an intricate part of this storyline. All right, are y'all just going to not do the whole Io Asuka match now? Is that just going to go away? Or maybe they're going to get cut today. Maybe that's it. Maybe we're going to cut Io and Asuka as well. Why not, right? Just throw them all out. TKO, I fucking hate this company. I hate this company. TKO, 2K, I mean, I want to, like, crumple them into a ball and throw them off the highest friggin' place on earth and let them just crash and burn and explode. They don't deserve to be operating businesses. They're disgusting people. Disgusting. You know, Gordon Gekko said greed is good, but even he had a fucking limit, man. These guys, they just... We used to have an old saying about my boss that I worked for many years ago. He was a cheapskate, that guy. And we used to tell him, let me tell you, this guy will pinch a penny until Lincoln cries. And TKO makes him look like a big spender. These guys are just so horrible with their greed. From Germany, welcome. Watching since the 90s, but it's hard to watch. Well, I've been watching since the 70s. I'm an old man. And it is. And I have only tuned out of the WWF one time for about a year. And that's when they started doing Doink and Duke the Dumpster Droese and Bastion Booger. And I was like, this is bullshit. That's when ECW was really just starting to take off. They were, doing their shows on syndicated television, usually at midnight and shit on Saturdays. And that was my wrestling. I just got rid of WWE or WWF as it were at the time. and went into WCW, NWA, because I was here in the South, had that around me. And I was watching ECW a lot and really getting into ECW. I am hoping that somebody comes along and gives us that outlet again, because right now we don't have it. If you like good old grungy wrestling the way it's supposed to be, where it's just wrestling and you're telling the stories in the ring. I am just now getting caught up. I've only got another few episodes left to go on the TV series that was short-lived, 2 seasons of Heels. I'm sure many of you have already seen it. If you haven't, I recommend it. And what I love about it is because it's, you know, a little podunk town wrestling company, they don't have production money and stuff like that, but they're just wrestling. They're telling stories in the ring. And yeah, some of the life outside the ring stuff is being brought into the ring, and it's telling the stories there. They don't got to come jumping off of the top of nothing, and they don't have to fall through 125 tables stacked. They can just tell the story. What a novel concept, and we need to find a company that can go back to that and do it well. You know, you can't just say we're just going to put on wrestling matches. You got to do the stories as well. You just don't need these friggin' ridiculous high spots. There's no need for them. Especially the thing that Sal Ruka did. That was so... I just don't know. You don't leave the children in charge. And Shawn Michaels is no child. But where the hell was his head? I know where Saul's head was. It was bouncing off the second table. I'm so thankful that she's alive and breathing and still able to perform. That Kairi Sane. Not Kairi, I'm sorry. Io. And this isn't even a high spot. But it's 2 out of the last 3 weeks where she dives through the ropes and almost ends her career. The first time, her knee pad just barely clipped the middle rope and sent her head down into the friggin' floor. This last time, she jumps through the ropes and kind of goes sideways like a cross body press, but her ass kind of hung behind a little too long. Like, if you're going to do that shit, and I wouldn't recommend it, then your legs and everything kind of pretty much come through the ropes at the same time as your head and shoulders. But boy, I see that being a real recipe for even worse disaster, because the odds of all that going through without nothing hitting nothing, is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. You know, we remember The Undertaker used to be very famous. He would save it for the manias, right? Where he would hit the ropes, dive over the top rope, and when you see a big guy like that doing that, it was like, holy shit, right? Until the one time where his knee pad also caught the top rope just barely, because he's a little older now, wasn't able to fly quite as high, and that half inch made a difference, and ended up getting blamed on Jimmy Snuka's son, who was playing the cameraman at that time, who was supposed to catch him. Well, how am I going to catch him when I'm 5 feet away to catch him, and he falls 2 feet at my feet? What do you want me to do? And he ends up taking all the heat for that. Here's an idea. To quote the great legendary Dusty Rhodes, don't do shit you don't know. Don't do shit you can't do. Because how many times... Io Sky, if she ever does that dive again, I'm just going to... How many times before you realize you're lucky you're alive? You know, people don't know biology. The C5, C6, C7 vertebrae, that area there that of the nervous system controls breathing. If you do break that, you die. That's why they used to hang people in the old days. It would break the neck and their brain would shut down. There's no more. Automatically breathing stops. It ceases. Big JH is awake now. Good morning. Escobar, I wasn't shocked about that one. I do like him in AAA. I never really cared about him on the main roster, but I do like him in AAA. Unfortunately, I probably won't have him in AAA anymore. Ah, Big JH, you live in Duffy, do you? By the way, I know it's not a real town. But if it was, they'd be making some good money. I think they'd have a little tourist business going on there. Yeah, I've got, I think, 5 episodes left in season 2, and then I'll be done. And knowing that there isn't a season 3 is a little bummed out. I was talking to Jay about it, and according to him, they had started already filming season 3 before they pulled the plug. And I'm like, well, where's the video of that, man? And I thought that, is it Stephen Amell? I forget his first name. But I thought he was one of the producers on the program, which normally means you have a vested money interest in it. And I would think if that is the case, that he should at least have access to the video. And I'm like, just find someone else that wants to take it over and finish it up and then maybe make another season after that or something. But there's got to be a network out there willing to pick it up because it was successful and it was done well. And by the way, I had a massive crush on the lady that plays his wife in that. Yeah, the Eddie. Oh, wow. There's a good one. Eddie versus Ray with Dom. Again, storytelling. And it's still there today. The same fucking story. The same damn story. If you're good at what you do, to this day, you see Dom, I should have been Eddie's kid. Oh, my God, that's good. That is good shit. And that's because they knew what they were doing back then. And 2K, man, look, we all know. I mean, if you don't, I'm going to let you in on this surprise, okay? All 2K is doing is bolstering the books for the sale. They're not going to have WWE a year from now. If they're smart, they won't. Because Saudi, and once it's gone to Saudi, I won't watch anything to do with them at all. I'll have zero to do with WWE in any way, shape, or form. Wait until WrestleMania this next year comes up and you hear the Saudi national anthem to kick off the show. Nothing makes you feel better. I was watching Maven. I love Maven. I was watching his most recent posting from when he went over to Allegiant and WrestleMania 42 the weekend. And he couldn't go in because he had other signing commitments and things to do, watch-along parties, stuff like that he was part of. But he went to the main entrance gate, and I knew I couldn't miss this video because he did what I wanted to do. Interviewed people going in to find out, what do you do for a living that you can afford these fucking tickets? And a lot of people all had the same story. I only paid $300 for both nights. How'd you do that? I just bought them now. Wait to walk up. And this is what I was telling people. Do not, if you're going to go, just show up and walk up. That's it. Don't buy them in advance. They're going to be giving them away. They had another guy I saw on a separate video. And he was documenting his weekend at Mania. And he did the same basic thing. He got them real cheap days before. And his seats were were not sold out, were closed out. So he was supposed to be sitting in section 316, which would have been, if you're looking at the stage, upper left corner. He gets to the show, and they tell him, unfortunately, those seats are no longer available. We have different seats for you. They were not as good as seats. They did give him some money back. I think it was $200 on each ticket, plus $75 in merch. Is what it is. But then he goes to his section, and it's all tarped off. Because they couldn't sell the tickets. Same thing on the opposite side. So they're giving tickets away. They aren't selling tickets that they sold a year ago that they would have sold out that place easily if they weren't such greedy motherfuckers. And did they make more money than last year? Maybe. I'm still not positive. I know they're saying they did, but let's see the numbers. I haven't seen numbers. They haven't released numbers officially. But is that really at the end of the day? Of course, I know the answer is yes. But is that what it's all about? The wrestlers have always done this for families, for family entertainment. Yeah, they get a paycheck too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if I'm putting my body through a table and a half and going to have a permanent neck injury, I want to get paid for it. Yeah, I can see. There aren't any stories right now, really. There was. You had Io, Asuka, and Kyrie. Well, let's fucking flush that down the toilet real quick before it gets better. That was a good story. That had tons of potential. I was wondering how they got it right. And then they showed me. No. Wait. Hold on. I can fuck this up. Wait, you're fired. Big JH, a lot of these guys can't end up in TNA. They don't have that kind of money. They do have a salary cap. They do have a production budget. They're just not. They might get 4 names. I think that would be unless they're going to start cutting people loose, which they could do that. I could probably go down their roster and easily remove 4 or 5 names without batting an eye. But at the end of the day, it's the same dog, different fleas. Santana's your world champion. That's your guy. That's the guy you're putting the championship on. Not Moose. Not the guy who looks like the guy you do not want to fuck with. Who can go. Who is a natural freak athlete for a big man who can scale the ropes in one motion. You can send him running to the turnbuckle without hesitation. He just goes doom, 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 walks right up to the top rope, turns around at 300 pounds, and comes off with a flying crossbody. That's not the guy you want to put your world title on. No. You want to put it on Mike Santana. And again, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm just saying I ain't paying a nickel to watch Mike Santana wrestle a match. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are going to say different. If TNA has a match in their main event for the World Heavyweight title and the champion is Moose versus whoever you want to put him against, or champion Mike Santana versus the same person you put him against, which one do you want to see? I want to see Moose. The big guy who looks like the guy I don't want to fuck with. Not saying I want to fuck with Mike Santana neither. I'm just saying he's not the same thing. And to me, it's just Darby 2.0. I mean, he's not the crazy guy going through glass planes. And he just doesn't. He's not a guy that should be wearing a world championship belt. That's my opinion, for what it's worth. It's why I'm not watching the program very much. Yeah, believe me, I know Allison's name. I watch the credits every time. She's fucking gorgeous, man. I'll tell you what. I was like, who is this girl? Wild Bill who? Irwin? Oh, you're talking about the show. Never mind, I'm back with you now. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm waiting to see how the Season 2 wraps up. I've had 2 different ideas in my head lately of things I could do here. One is to continue Duffy Wrestling League. And that's something that's appealing to me. I don't know how I'd work it into my current roster situation, but or my show lineup, I should say. But I could see me doing something with that. The other thing was I was watching some more real American freestyle stuff. And some of those matches aren't bad at all. I mean, it's real wrestling, and they're kind of putting it up there with a little bit of the glitz and glamour of pro wrestling. They're now using the Tron, and the guys come out through there, and there's the whole pyro thing going up and all that. And I had this what if. I said, what if a scandal broke out where you found out that, yeah, it's amateur wrestling and all that, but they fixed the matches in advance? Because right now it's a real sport, okay? But what if you found out that they built up to this big pay-per-view card or whatever it is, and they needed someone to go over in this match, and the 2 guys worked it out, and it broke somehow that, and they were done. You could never be a real promotion again. But then you twisted it around and turned it into a pro wrestling promotion instead. and put the ring up there and the ropes up there, and you still kept a lot of real wrestling in it. But now we know that the outcomes are predetermined. So those are two ideas that have been bouncing around as potentially something that I may bring to the channel moving forward. I'll have a lot more free time now that I'm not going to be watching I've stopped watching AEW a long time ago. I don't even give them one episode a year anymore. I'm done with them completely. Tony Khan would have to drop dead, and somebody that has an idea of what they're doing would have to take over for me to watch that again. I've seen Santana wrestle a couple of times, and that's why I'm telling you, I wouldn't pay to see him. I've seen him, but I would not pay to see him. When I'm looking at an indie show or something like that, and I'm going down the road, there's Cora Jade. Yeah, that would be nice. There's Mike Santana. But next, I would rather see Cora Jade than see Mike Santana. I would sooner pay to see Cora Jade than Mike Santana. Yeah, I got to meet Moose a couple times when they did their TV taping where I was working here at the time. And, yeah, pretty chill dude. He was cool. Got nothing negative to say. Miracle in the house. How you doing, Bubba? Present for the Cena heel turn. Yeah, that was a great idea, wasn't it? Talk about the writing staff on their... Now, granted, John wanted to try it. You know, John's like, well, it's now or never. And, man, I don't know how they couldn't have seen it. You know what? We let that... It's a little late in the game for that. Let's just give the fans what they want out of you. And it would have been so much better of a send-off for him if they didn't waste those 3 months doing absolute garbage. Charlie is based on Paul Heyman. Yeah, I could see that. Primetime, I've thought about it. I have. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. It may happen. Yeah, I'm not a big Rooster fan. Now, I haven't seen how the rest of the show wraps up yet, but I thought he's a bit of a bitch. You know, I get it. Listen, you want your time in the spotlight, blah, 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 but we're talking about a mom and pop wrestling promotion and all that. I don't know. I just felt like the character was a little bit too much of a bitch for me. M. Hawk in the house. Who got cut? Dude, the entire SmackDown roster got cut. Oh, my God. They cut them. They gut them. They just tore them all apart. They ain't much left standing, brother. I'll tell you that right now. It was brutal. In a quick rundown, once again, for those just joining, and if you haven't heard, I thought I was the last one on the list here, but Kairi Sane, Aleister Black, Zelina, which I'm a happy person to see her gone. I just never care for her. Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas is gone. All of the Wyatt Six. Nikki Cross, Santos Escobar, the Motor City Machine Guns, Dexter Loomis, Apollo Crews, Rowan, Joe Gacy, Andre Chase, another one I'm sure he's a great guy. Boring. And in his case, I won't even say it's the character that they gave him. What character? Look at him. What character are you going to give him? I'm sure they gave him that character because he looks like Richie Cunningham out of the friggin' Happy Days. Or worse, Potsy Weber. Looks like Potsy Weber. So put a friggin' university sweater on him. What else can you do with him? And look at his face. What are you going to do? You're going to spike his hair? You're going to give him a buzz cut, a mohawk with that face and that body? No. He is what he is. Doesn't make him a bad guy. It just makes him not someone who's going to sell a ticket. Zoe Stark, that was a disappointment. Alba Fire, I'm on board with that one. Tyra May Steele, somebody tell me. I'm going to look it up right now. I think I know who this is. And if it is, holy cow. Talk about a build-up for nothing. Matter of fact, I'm positive. Yeah, I was right. I wonder what happened. She was the first winner for LFG, and I loved LFG. I was a big LFG fan. She was the first winner. She was the one that went in and got a contract. They put her on TV 1 or 2 times that I saw. And then already released her. There's got to be a backstory. There has to be, something behaviorally, or she just said, screw this, I'm going to go to Real American Freestyle. And I would love to see her there. I would love to see her in a Real American Freestyle. Serena Linton also gone. Who is that, man? I feel like I know this name, but it's not. Let me go here. No, I don't know you. I am not recognizing her at all. Oh, I take it back. Yeah, now she's a little... Oh, she was on LFG. That's why she looks familiar. Yeah, no, she wasn't going to make it. I could have told you that. She did get better, but she wasn't going to make it. So these remaining names, I think, are all LFGs. So Tyson, Tyreek, Chris Island definitely was, and like I said earlier in the stream, that was Michelle McCool's big guy. Well, yeah, aren't you a judge of talent? Malik Blade, London Trill was definitely an LFG. So these are all LFG names. And Luca Crucifino, I don't remember from LFG, but these are all LFG talent down at the bottom of the list there. So a lot of people got let go. No, Bischoff is perfectly happy right now with Real American Freestyle, and he's not. I cannot imagine the circumstances where he would do a real promotion again. It wouldn't be with his money, I can tell you that right now. M-Hawk, AEW get a boost. How? With those names I just mentioned, what are we talking about? I mean, and I don't know if I mentioned, there's a couple other ones in there. I don't think we're on that list. There's another list, but some of them are crossed over. So Nikki Cross, again, we mentioned Zoe Stark. I don't know if I did or not, but that's another one gone. Alba Fire, yeah. Joe Gacy, Andre Chase, Dexter Loomis, all gone, yeah. Which of those names goes to AEW and lights up the world? You tell me. Which of those names goes to AEW and makes a difference in AEW's programming and turns it into programming that goes from 500,000 viewers to 800,000 viewers? Which name? You tell me. None of them. None of them. Even if you had, and by the way, did I miss? Hold on. Yeah, no, I said Aleister Black's name. Okay. Out of that list, Aleister Black is the name. Like, if I had to start a promotion tomorrow and I could have any one of these, if I could only have one, it would be him. He'd be the one. It'd be close. It'd be between him and Joe Gacy, but I would go with him. He's someone you can build off of. He's got that ability. As we're sitting here and talking bullshit, and I'm thinking to myself, if I were to do a Duffy Wrestling, I might take some of these loose names and bring them in like they had. They were bringing back guys who were big names back in the day and still wrestling, but not at the same level necessarily. And CM Punk, my goodness, the makeup job they had to do on him to take all those tattoos off. Oh, my God. Well, here's the problem, M-Hawk. You could bring him and the Wyatt Six all over there, but you can't call them the Wyatt Six. So from that standpoint, would we all know? I mean, they kind of did the same thing with Undisputed when they managed to get Bobby Fish and the rest of them all over there and kind of reassemble, Avengers Assemble. So you could do something by bringing a faction of them together, but you can't call it the Wyatt Six. You can't even refer to it as the Wyatt Six. You can't put any of those costumes on them. That's all intellectual property owned by the WWE and TKO. So while the fans kind of would know the people, by not being able to keep the gimmicks, that doesn't really work. And I don't see Bo Dallas going. I don't think he was done wrestling. He only did this because his brother passed away and he wanted to honor his memory and bring some of his thoughts to fruition. You know, the things that he had wanted to do with the character that he had written out, that he had proposed, that were being worked on. They had a costume that was getting ready to go. He was coming back when he passed away. And you'll never convince me that wasn't because of the COVID vaccine. You will never convince me of that. Kevin, if Vince McMahon was working behind the scenes, it wouldn't be this bad. I'm not saying it would be great, but it wouldn't be like this. The last quote I had heard from Vince, allegedly, and it was in print, not like he actually said it on camera. And it was a few months ago about the possibility of being approached by TKO to have, you know, he's already like 49% owner or something, shit like that. And there was a conversation about maybe him coming into the creative fold a little bit more aggressively. And his quote was, well, shit's got to change. Well, ain't nothing changed. So that makes me think he hasn't taken any control as of yet. Yeah, I would definitely be able to see LFG wrestlers going to the reality of wrestling, and even some of these other ones for that matter, realistically. I mean, they could be there to draw fans into the building as well as, you know, work with the up-and-coming talent. AEW needs an old-time booker. Tony's never going to give up the book. So, you know, that 500,000 viewership, that's just going to be it. And the day they ever grow out of that, if they do, I mean, the whole blood and guts thing might just be their thing, and that's all they want, and that's all they care about is that indie bullshit. More power to them. There's your show. Gacy wrestled in Lucha Underground. Did he really? Under a mask or as himself? I don't recall that. I wanted to start watching Lucha Underground again, re-watching what did they do, like 4 seasons, I think, of that. I think if I do that, I'm going to be surprised. I'll be seeing a bunch of names like, holy shit, I didn't know. Kind of like with Punk in in Heels. At first, I didn't know it was him. Because there's no tattoos or anything, and they give him that big mullet and all that, and he was kind of in the shadow of this barn thing, and so I wasn't really. And then the voice started to sound a little familiar, but he tried to put a country twang on it. Chicago guy, right? And then as they got a close-up on his face, it's like, oh, my God. And I'm like, where are the tattoos? Yeah, Billy Corgan has had talent. I mean, hell, he had Ricky Starks. That was one of Ricky's first opportunities. That's back when NWA wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. You had Tim Storm as your world champion, and let's be honest, Tim Storm at that time was 50, and he didn't move so great. But they had Eli Drake. They had James Storm. They had some names. Trevor Murdoch wasn't terrible back then. He wasn't great, but he was also the Murdoch name, which gave it the NWA legacy. Yeah, Jim Cornette calling action. You know, it in the beginning, it wasn't terrible. It had potential. Nick Aldis was the champion then, and that made it a little bit better because now you had a champion that could actually go. Oh, he wrestled under a mask. Well, that would be the reason why I didn't know it was him. I'd want to wear a mask, too, if I was going to wrestle for that company. So anyway. All right. Well, folks, I think that's all I had on the agenda for today. At 9 a.m., join me for Saturday Morning Superstars right here on the Nation Network. And then at 12 noon, you'll want to be here for what is going to be one of the most important episodes in the Legends of 605 storyline. It's going to be a big day starting 12 noon at the Omni. It's a big show, 7-match card. It's going to take us a few minutes to get through it, but boy, oh boy, I think it's going to have some moments. It's going to have some moments. Yep, Lucha Underground definitely is going to have a lot of crossovers. So eventually I'm going to get around to watching it again. And I never did see the last season. Maybe I'll start with that. But it's been so long, I'm probably going to forget half the other ones. But it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. The thing that I hated was when MLW brought it back and let it take over MLW. It's like you just lost your identity to take over an identity that closed shop, and I won't even say they failed. I felt like they were doing okay. I'm not sure what the actual deal was on why they closed. I don't think ratings were that bad. They weren't on a great network, so, you know, you got to deal with what you got to deal with. El Rey, how many people had El Rey? But anyway, that's for another day. In the meantime, I'm going to head out and be back here at 9 a.m., hopefully with all of you, to check out some more of this stuff that we call wrestling here on the Nation Network. Thank you for everybody that's in the chat. Thank you for the folks over on Twitch that are watching and kicking in as well from Germany, reaching around the world, bringing us all together as wrestling fans. That's what it's all about. In the meantime, I will see you guys next time right here on the Nation Network. Until then, stay safe. Actually watched a little bit of AEW, not a lot. Just enough to remind me why I don't watch it. Oh, this is already funny. Just the headline. The list of moves and actions that are now banned from AEW or need to be approved by the company.
Maybe that's why Nash is pissed off, because he went for Rock and Austin and not try to duplicate him.
Well, it'd be easier to duplicate him. You only have to learn 5 moves.
Like you said, and we've all been saying, Tony Khan, you need a hierarchy, and he gets one, and then we make fun of it.
Because he's sitting back there talking about the Brock match, and finally we had a wrestling match. Finally we got 2 guys telling a story. They weren't outside in the ring the whole time. One of them
was he not watching the same match as we were?
Yeah, those games, man, I would say, like, for me, like, the best ones, I would say, are like the ones where they try to get a certain, like, time.
This is my entire IT team right here on screen.